Yeah, welcome everybody. Stoner Jesus Show presents Weed News for February 24th, 2024. You can get it on Patreon if you're a subscriber. Only $1 a month. Get you 5 episodes a week. Get all the news you need and the commentary you can't get anywhere else right here. Patreon.com/stonerjesus. 420. Like I said, only $1 a month. Get that shit. Each episode always less than 20 minutes, usually less than 15 minutes. So I tell you what's important, and then get the fuck out the door. It's my pledge to you. Just go be a patron, you cheap bitches. First up, from Normal, it's a study. Older patients experience improvements in their quality of life following medical cannabis treatment. This is a study out of Tel Aviv, Israel. The use of medical cannabis products by older patients is associated with improvements in subjects' quality of life and reductions in their concomitant medications, according to the data published in the journal Frontiers in Medicine. Israeli researchers assessed the use of federally authorized medical cannabis products over a 6-month period in a cohort of approximately 10,000 qualified patients. Subjects in the study, they were 55 years of age, and were most likely to be diagnosed with either cancer, pain, or post-traumatic stress. Under Israeli law, physicians can authorize qualified patients to access cannabis flowers and infused products from licensed retail providers. Patients typically rated cannabis as highly effective in mitigating their symptoms. Among patients with post-traumatic stress, 91% reported cannabis treatment as successful, as did 84% of patients with inflammatory bowel disease and 78% of patients with chronic pain. Consistent with other studies, most subjects reported improvements in their overall quality of life during the trial, while only 13% of patients reported good quality of life prior to the initiation. 70% reported good quality of life at 6 months. So, the headline is old people, lots of problems. They smoke weed, they feel better. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be condescending, but no shit. No shit. I'm not, well, I was about to say I'm not old, but I mean, look at me. Let's face it, I'm fairly old. But technically, age-wise, I'm only middle-aged. So I'm not on the downslope yet. I'm not over the hill and falling down it. I'm at the top of the hill, if you want to use that analogy. In any case, I know how much better I feel with weed. I can imagine being 70 and having post-traumatic stress or cancer or chronic pain or something like that and smoking weed, and you feel better. No shit. The problem, of course, with this is we should already know this. This should be common knowledge. Because of the decades of prohibition that have preceded this, a lot of people, this is news to them, you know. But this should be common knowledge among everyone, just like things about alcohol are common knowledge or other things that we take for granted every day. Yeah, smoking weed makes you feel better, and the older you are, the better it makes you feel. That rush that to press. Shouldn't be news at all. None of this should be news. I shouldn't be doing weed news. Do people do alcohol news? I don't know. Do they? I shouldn't do this at all. People should already know all this stuff, and they would if weed wasn't made illegal for 8 decades. But now we're behind, and well, we're catching up. That's part of what I do here. This next story is out of Maryland from WYPR.org. Marijuana legalization inches forward. The House of Delegates gave preliminary approval to Wednesday to a state constitutional amendment to legalize recreational marijuana for anyone over 21, and a bill that spells out the details in the process. Democrats beat back a series of Republican amendments to the amendment and to the bill that includes requirement for studies, penalties for public use, and the creation of a cannabis business assistance fund. Delegate Jason Buckle, the House Minority Leader, tried to amend the constitutional amendment to allow local governments and counties that vote against legalization in November to keep marijuana illegal in their jurisdictions. A lot of this article was just the arguing back and forth among state lawmakers on what should be in the bill, what should not be in the bill, complicating what should be a very simple problem to solve. You legalize marijuana, but every politician has to have every contingency accounted for, and would take this back to their voters and be able to spend this to their voters. And it's just one of the problems with legalization is that so much goes into it. When not a lot of, to start, not a lot of it there wasn't a lot to it. The Marijuana Tax Act made growing marijuana prohibitively expensive, and if you didn't have that tax stamp, then you couldn't grow it, so it was illegal. It was easy. Controlled Substances Act, you put marijuana on Schedule 1, it's illegal for all forms, no medical use, that's it. Very simple. But now the legalization to reverse that process is extremely complicated. All of this is quotes. I want this. I want that. I think we should do this. I think we should do that. All of these people are strangers making decisions for people they don't know over what they put in their body, something that does not affect these strangers. And that's what legalization is in a nutshell. A lot of strangers arguing over what you can and cannot put in your body, and when you can do it, and what time you can do it, and how much you can buy at a time, and where you can buy it, and what form you can buy it in, and where you can use it for. People who have they face no consequences for the decisions you make, making decisions for you. That's a problem. And again, that's the problem with legalization. It's going to be as complicated as possible, watered down as much as possible, and nowhere near as good as it should have been. Last but not least, this story from theskim.com, which I've never really heard of, but it's a very long article, but it's a fair, even-handed, as much as it can be, breakdown of legalization, what people have to say against it, what people have to say for it, where it's at right now, all that stuff. Breaking down the buzz why the U.S. isn't puff passing marijuana legalization. At first glance, weed doesn't appear to be a hazy subject. Well, there's a lot of puns as well, as you can expect. 37 states have legalized marijuana for medical use, and 18 states have given recreational weed the go-ahead. Polls show that most adults in the U.S., 91%, support legalizing marijuana. Of course, that would be medical marijuana. Around the world, at least 4 countries have also given it the thumbs up, even the U.S. next door neighbor, Canada. Despite its large approval and use in the U.S., marijuana is very much illegal at the federal level, still classified as a Schedule 1 drug, just like heroin, LSD, and ecstasy. Of course, they go into the history of that, differences between decriminalization, medical marijuana, recreational marijuana. There's recreational and medical marijuana is 60% approval, another 31% for the medical marijuana part. So that's where you get the 91% that they talked about, and only 8% of people think that marijuana shouldn't be legal at all. As I said many times before, polls shouldn't matter. Your rights shouldn't be contingent on polls. I understand the reason for them. Obviously, it's to show lawmakers that this is a very popular thing and they should get behind it. And that's great. But it shouldn't matter whether it's 90% approval, 40% approval, 12% approval. It's something you're putting in your own body that affects no one else. Therefore, it's none of their business. People shouldn't have the right to vote on or answer polls about what rights you can and can't have. Again, strangers. These people are strangers. 91% approve? That's fine. That's great. Thank you. But you're fucking strangers. And I don't give a fuck what you think. And you should have no say over what I put in my body. They have the concerns of people who are opposed legalizing weed. Of course, they mentioned DARE, which has a lot to do with that. I was a graduate of DARE, proud graduate, 91, I believe. I wish I still had my DARE shirt. Not that it would still fit, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool to hang up in the back or something, or a token, if you will, of my past life and most of our past lives. I remember doing a play for DARE, the DARE program. We wrote a play and we performed it about how bad, I think it was marijuana, how bad marijuana was. Look at me now. Anyway, they talk about what the opponents think, where there's a joint effort to legalize weed. They go a little bit to the history of weed and legalization, how it's creating jobs and tax revenue, social justice issues, all that stuff. Like I said, check it out. Everything I talk about is linked in the description of this video on Patreon. I'm going to do that with each episode. So you can check it out yourself. And like I said, it's a very comprehensive look at the history of marijuana and legalization and where we go from here. Including that quote you see right there. The government has had a 50-year propaganda war against cannabis, and it's shaped a lot of minds. The changes that are happening at the state level, though, are influencing Congress. So it's from Steve Hawkins, the president and CEO of the U.S. Cannabis Council. They go into more of what's going on in Congress with the MORE Act, the Safe Banking Act, the Cannabis Administration, and Opportunity Act, all of which are, inching at a glacial pace, indistinguishable from one from the other, because at the pace they're going, and in terms of the pace they're going, I would love to sit there and say, "Oh, the federal government's going to do this and they're going to fix this." They're not. It's going to be they're going to be way past time to be done when it's finally done. It's going to be shit. It's going to be watered down. It's going to be garbage. And because it's better than prohibition, we're all going to pat each other on the back and say, "Look what we did. It's fucking great." Talk about a couple of the states, 2022, with recreational attempts, including Arkansas and Ohio, and as the aforementioned Maryland just talked about. So there you go. Go check out that story. Check out all the stories they talk about. Read them for yourself and make your own opinions. I'm just, I'm here doing commentary. I'm not here to tell you what to think, although you should think like me because I know what I'm talking about. I'm awesome. I'm smart, and I'm cool. Thank you for being a patron. Go check it out. Spread the word. Patreon.com/StonerJesus420. Only $1 a month. Support us, bringing you the weed news. Check out the Stoner Jesus Show on StonerJesus.net. Peace.